camping in different weather, maybe instead of a sleeping bag, maybe like a sleeping bag cover, and then dress in layers to cut down on the bulk that you'd be carrying. What would be the thing to look at there?
Depends on your environment, number one. Also depends on your body type. You know, if you're just kind of hot natured or cold natured. I mean, it can get really out there. But what I do, what works for me, and this may not, you know, you may not like it, but I use a tarp. Not like the one, the Walmart tarp. There's nothing wrong with those either, but I use a full-on, you know, nicely stitched tarp. Because when I'm in my tent, I'm kind of blinded. You know, I can only see out my window, can't really see kind of what's going on. And just from working with so many kids and so many groups, if there's something wrong, I can roll out of either side, the front. And I've spent some cold nights, you know, in those environments. But I would take my backpack, and would kind of build a little, you know, just a little bit of shelter to block that. But that's just what I do. I love it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the tent. But, you know, and let me just say, if you do have a tent and it says 3-man or 4-man or 2-man, they mean that. It's not that you can fit extra room or I got room for my pack. That's great. You normally do. When you start getting extra bodies in there, condensation builds up, things get wet, you know, into your sleeping bag, which is by the tent. It can make for a miserable time. I love the tarps. I don't really keep them really low to the ground. That's what works for me.
My sustainment bag has my tent in it because of the weight. So if I can grab my bug out bag, hopefully I can get my sustainment bag. Hopefully if I have to leave it, it'll be my vehicle, so weight won't be an issue. But if I can get my sustainment bag, even if I can just carry it across the yard and set it down, then mission accomplished. You know, I can go from there. I have added supplies. So the 48-hour bag or the 72-hour bag is just a start. I'm probably next week I'm going to do a video on sustainment bag and show you what I do.
Let me address one thing too about bug out. Really, if you're planning to bug out, you need to have a location to retreat to. You know, there are people that say, well, I'm going to run out and I'm going to live off the land. Well, during the Depression, we almost completely wiped out all the wild game. The other night I was back in our yard and I was coming around and I just took my flashlight and shined it down through the woods. And there were green little eyes all over it. There were a bunch of deer. And I'm going to tell you, within a matter of weeks, probably a lot faster than that, they're going to be wiped out. Living off the land is very difficult, so you really need to have a location in mind. And, you know, we were talking a little bit about what FEMA talks about and, you know, having these, I mean, they're talking about you need to have a kit ready to go. But I'm going to tell you guys, be careful because you could be on the freeway, and if you're ready to go, there's a million other people out there ready to go as well. And, you know, you may be abandoning your car. So keep in mind that it does take a retreat for a bug out.
I got a question and a comment. If you're storing water and it's 8 drops of Clorox for your water, if you just use just plain water, how long will that water last? Here's my comment. In Transylvania County, a lot of people think that our water comes off Cathy's Creek. Well, the water comes off Cathy's Creek some, and it goes down there to Pisgah Forest, and we're getting sewer water that's run through the beaters. And then I found out the other day from a man that was in the Air Force for 20 years that tanker truck up there at the landfill is getting the runoff, and they pump that out, and then they take it over behind College Walk, and they send it from there down to the beaters. So I don't drink iced tea, coffee, ice, or anything out of city water. Have you got any comments on that?
I don't drink city water either. I mean, one thing I forgot to mention was distillation. You can take any water, and if you distill it, you're going to get a product that's good if you distill it. So, what? Yeah, I mean, you can buy a distiller, you can build a distiller. There are many different ways. So if you're really, that's another option on water is distillation, where you're taking the condensate off, and so Sounds like you need to get a better water source. Drill a well. You tried drilling a well?
Just a quick question about bugging out. I'm of the opinion, last case scenario, bugging out. But, if I do, you recommend sticking to small roads, main highways? What's your opinion?
It depends. If it's a natural disaster and people are still friendly, you can walk wherever you want to walk. If the situation is ugly, the rule of thumb in the military is, if it's a hostile environment, if I'm walking and I'm comfortable, I'm in the wrong place. Totally. If you're walking down a trail, you're wrong. You're walking down a road, you're wrong. You're going through the roughest terrain because the bad guy is not going to be out there in the briars. He's going to be sitting alongside the road waiting for you to come walking through to take advantage of you. So it depends. I mean, if there's violence and chaos, the back roads would probably be better, but what's called is hand railing. I can walk in the woods and I'm hand railing the road because I can look over a couple hundred yards and I see the road. And I just keep hand railing the road. That is the ideal way to do it. That way you don't get lost. As long as I know the road is to my right, I just keep an eye on it. It's called hand railing. We do it in the military if we really want to be stealthy.
Yes, I just found out recently in Hurricane Katrina, the police were coming door to door and taking their weapons from people trying to protect their home in case of, and they were taking the weapons and seizing the weapons. What do you guys think about that? I mean, I know
I don't think they like it.
But what do you guys?
If I had to do that at that point, I would take my uniform off. And you'd be the consequences of taking your uniform off. But that's what I would personally do. And I would have to switch sides because my Constitution is more important than anything.
Test our preps. I just want to see somebody do that with Dave. I just want to see that.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to, what I'd like to do is take some time for you guys to be able to network some. And this is going to be kind of difficult to put this together, but hopefully if you guys get into certain groups, you can divide up a little bit that way. So what let's do is, if you're from South Carolina, get together here and then divide it upstate to low country or thereabouts. Just kind of separate yourselves. And then maybe North Carolina over in this side and Georgia down here. I think Tennessee maybe over here. And then if you're in other areas, which there are, just meet right here in front of the sound.